stop. Listen closely. Because this might be the most important few minutes you hear all year. Right now, your life looks the way it does for a reason. Not because of luck, not because of talent, not because of your past, but because of decisions. Some you made boldly, and a few you never realized you were making at all. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Your future is being shaped right now. Not tomorrow, not next year, right now. And whether you change your life or repeat it comes down to one decision, not a goal, not a vision board, not another burst of motivation, a decision. Most people wait. They wait to feel ready. They wait for clarity. They wait for confidence. And while they wait, their life stays the same. Different year, same patterns, same fears, same excuses dressed up as logic. Let me ask you something. What if the life you want isn't far away? What if it's not complicated? What if it's one choice you've been avoiding? Because deep down, you already know. You know where you've been playing small. You know where you've been negotiating with fear. You know the moment you chose comfort over growth. And here's the shift. Your future does not require more information. It requires a line in the sand. By the end of this video, you won't just feel motivated. You'll see the decision clearly. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. The invisible force controlling your life. Most people think they're in control. They're not. They believe they're making choices. But what they're really doing is reacting. Reacting to emotions. Reacting to habits. Reacting to old identities they've outgrown. Here's the truth nobody wants to hear. Your life today is not random. It is predictable. It's the result of what you tolerate. What do you avoid? What you repeat. Every pattern you allow becomes a path. Every excuse you justify becomes a cage. And the most dangerous part, these decisions don't feel dramatic. They feel normal. Scrolling instead of building. Staying quiet instead of speaking up. Saying someday instead of now. No explosion, no warning sign, just slow erosion. And then one day people wake up and say, how did I get here? This is how. Unconscious decisions compound quietly until they become destiny. Here's the emotional punch. If you don't choose your future deliberately, your past will choose it for you. And most people let fear decide. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of discomfort. But fear is not a signal to stop. It's a signal that growth is nearby. The question is simple. Are you living by design or by default? Because default living is expensive. It costs you time, energy, self-respect. And the longer you wait, the harder it becomes to change. But here's the good news. The same force that created your current life can create a new one. With one decision. The one decision that changes everything. Here it is. This is the decision. The moment where everything turns. You decide to stop negotiating with the version of yourself that keeps you small. Not tomorrow. Not after one more failure. Not when it feels safer. Now. Because every time you negotiate, you delay your power. And every delay trains your mind to doubt you. That voice says, just this once. You deserve a break. You'll go all in later. Sounds reasonable, feels harmless. But that voice has a cost. It costs momentum. It costs confidence. It costs self-trust. And the more you listen to it, the louder it gets. So the decision is simple, and it's brutal. No more internal bargaining. No more secret loopholes. No more waiting for permission from people who aren't living your life. Because here's the truth most people miss. Every time you negotiate with fear, fear wins. Not dramatically. Quietly, one excuse at a time, one retreat at a time, one lowered standard at a time. And then people wonder why nothing changes. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your standards. Standards define you. Goals live in the future. Standards show up today. Standards are not what you say you want when you're motivated. They are what you refuse to tolerate when you're tired. What you tolerate becomes your normal, and your normal becomes your life. That's the emotional gut punch. The moment this decision is made, something shifts. Not outside you, inside you. You stop asking, can I do this? Because that question keeps you weak. It hands power to doubt. Instead, you start declaring, this is who I am now. That's not hype, that's identity. And identity is the strongest force in human behavior. You don't act based on what you want. You act based on who you believe you are. When identity changes, behavior follows. Naturally. Automatically. This is why winners move differently. They don't wait to feel confident. They act while uncertain. And confidence is built through proof. They don't wait for motivation. They move first. And motivation shows up to support action. This is the separation point. Right here, most people decide what they want: a better life, more freedom, more confidence. Very few decide who they are. And that's why most people stay stuck, because who you decide to be determines everything. Your habits follow identity. Your boundaries follow identity. Your energy follows identity. If you see yourself as someone who quits when it's hard, you will always find a reason to stop. If you see yourself as someone who keeps promises to yourself, you will find a way forward. This isn't about being perfect. Perfection is fear pretending to be disciplined. This is about commitment. Commitment removes options. And options are where excuses hide. When there is no backup plan, there is no debate. You show up differently. You act faster. You tolerate less nonsense from others and from yourself. Once you stop negotiating, momentum begins. And momentum is powerful. Momentum builds belief. Belief builds courage. Courage builds results. And results change lives, not overnight, but permanently. Because the version of you who no longer negotiates doesn't go back. They've drawn the line, and everything on the other side of that line changes. Why most people never make this decision. Let's get real. No filters, no sugarcoating. If this decision is so powerful, if it can truly change everything, why do so few people step into it? Because growth requires loss, and loss feels like death to the mind. You don't just gain a new future. You lose an old identity. You lose the comfort of what's familiar, even if it's painful, even if it's limiting. You lose the story you've been telling yourself, the one that explains why you haven't moved yet, the one that protects your ego from responsibility. And that loss feels terrifying, because the mind would rather stay in known pain than risk unknown growth. Known pain feels predictable. You know how to survive it. You've built routines around it. Unfamiliar growth? That feels dangerous. So people hesitate, they stall, they settle. Not because they're lazy, but because fear is clever. It disguises itself as logic. It says things like, this is just how I am. It's not the right time. I'll start when things calm down. Those sound reasonable. They sound mature. They sound responsible. But they're lies dressed up as patience. Because life doesn't calm down. Pressure doesn't disappear. Challenges don't stop coming. You don't wait for life to get easier. You level up, or you stay exactly where you are. And staying feels safe, at first. Comfort is seductive. It whispers, not shouts. It says, rest here. Don't rock the boat. You're fine. But comfort has a hidden cost. It slowly drains ambition. It dulls hunger. It numbs potential. And people don't notice it happening. They just woke up one day feeling disconnected from the person they thought they'd become. Here's the hard truth most avoid. Most people don't fail loudly. They don't crash and burn. They don't get knocked out. They quit quietly. They stop expecting more from themselves. They lower the bar. They call survival success. They shrink their dreams until they fit inside their fear. And then they normalize dissatisfaction. They say, this is just how life is. This is realistic. This is good enough. But realism without courage is just fear wearing a suit. It's fear pretending to be wisdom, fear pretending to be maturity, and it keeps people trapped for decades. Here's the emotional peak. The pain of discipline hurts. It stretches you. It demands effort, but it's temporary. The pain of regret, that one lingers. It shows up late at night, in quiet moments, when no one else is watching. It whispers, you knew better? You could have tried. You waited too long. And deep down, you know the truth. You already know which pain you're choosing. The question is whether today is the day you choose differently. Because the decision you avoid eventually becomes the life you live. And no one escapes that cost. What happens when you make the decision? Everything gets quieter. Not around you, inside you. When the decision is made, clarity appears. Not because life suddenly gets easier. Not because obstacles disappear. But because inner conflict ends. The war in your head stops. You stop arguing with yourself in the morning. You stop negotiating at night. You stop draining energy on doubt, delay, and second guessing. That alone changes everything. Your mind stops pulling in two directions. Your energy stops leaking. Your focus sharpens. And with clarity, your standards rise. You no longer tolerate what drains you. You no longer entertain what distracts you. You no longer explain yourself to people who don't understand your direction. Your boundaries strengthen, not aggressively, calmly. You don't react as much. You respond with intention. You move faster because there's no debate. You recover quicker because you don't spiral. You trust yourself more because you keep your word. That trust is everything. Because self-trust is confidence, not hype, not arrogance, proof. Then something unexpected happens. Problems don't disappear, but they shrink. Not in size, in power. Challenges still show up. Pressure still exists. But it no longer controls your emotions. It no longer dictates your behavior. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? Because that question gives your power away. Instead, you start asking, what is this teaching me? And that question changes the game. It turns obstacles into feedback, setbacks into direction, pain into progress. That's power. Not power over others, power over yourself. That's ownership. And ownership changes everything. You stop blaming circumstances. You stop waiting to be rescued. You stop needing permission. You realize something critical. Your circumstances don't define you. Your environment doesn't define you. Your past doesn't define you. Your decisions do. And once you see that clearly, you can't go back to victim thinking. Because responsibility feels heavy at first. But then it feels freeing. You realize you're in control again. Not everything, but of your response to anything. That shift is irreversible. Once you experience momentum, you crave it. Momentum is addictive. Progress feels better than comfort ever did. Growth feels better than familiarity. Forward motion feels better than safety. And comfort loses its grip. You no longer crave easy. You crave meaningful. You no longer chase relief. You chase alignment. And that's when life starts to expand. Not overnight, not perfectly, but permanently. Because the version of you who has made the decision doesn't want to go back. It felt what it's like to live without internal resistance. And once you feel that freedom, you protect it at all costs. How to lock this decision in. This is where it becomes real, not emotional, not theoretical, real, because insight without action fades fast, and decisions without structure collapse under pressure. So this part matters. Step 1, draw the line. Not a blurry line, not a flexible line. A line that cannot be crossed. Ask yourself honestly, what behavior ends today? What pattern is done? No negotiation, no exceptions, name it. Vague decisions don't survive hard moments. Specific ones do. This is the emotional peak. Because drawing the line means saying goodbye to a version of yourself you've been protecting, and it will resist. It will bargain. It will panic. That's how you know it's real. Step 2, attach the decision to identity. Never say, I'll try. Trying leaves the door open. Trying keeps options alive. Say this instead. I am the kind of person who follows through. I am the kind of person who does hard things. I am the kind of person who keeps promises to myself. Identity locks behavior in place. You don't have to force yourself to act in alignment with who you believe you are. You do it naturally. This is where confidence begins. Not from success, from self-trust. Step 3, make going back painful. Because willpower alone won't save you when motivation drops. So remove temptation. Change your environment. Change your daily inputs. Change what you say when you wake up and what you hear when you're tired. Distance yourself from voices that normalize weakness. Limit access to habits that pull you backward. Make the wrong choice inconvenient. Make the right choice obvious. This is not punishment. This is a strategy. You're not fighting yourself anymore. You're supporting the decision. Another emotional peak, because this step requires courage. It means admitting that your environment has been shaping you more than your intentions. And once you see that, you take control. Step 4, act before you feel ready. This is the final gate, because readiness is a myth. Confidence does not come first. Clarity does not come first. Motivation does not come first. Action does. Action creates proof. Proof builds belief. Belief builds identity. So do the thing, not perfectly, not confidently. Do it scared, do it unsure, do it anyway, especially when resistance shows up, because resistance is a signal. It means you're stepping beyond who you've been. That's how identity is forged, not in comfort, in motion, not in planning, in execution. And here's the truth. Once you act, the decision stops being a thought. It becomes a standard, and standards don't need motivation. They hold. The final challenge. Here's the truth. If nothing changes, nothing changes. No breakthrough, no new chapter. Just the same year repeating itself with a different date. And choosing not to decide is still a decision. It's the decision to stay exactly where you are. 5 years from now, you'll be somewhere. That part is guaranteed. The question is this. Will you be proud of the choices you made, or will you explain them away? Will you recognize the person in the mirror, or will you wonder when you stop believing in yourself? What happens if you don't change? Who do you become if fear keeps winning? What dream quietly dies because you waited too long? Those questions matter, because time doesn't pause for hesitation. Life doesn't wait for confidence. Your future is not waiting for motivation. Motivation fades. It's waiting for courage. The courage to draw the line. The courage to say, enough. The courage to stop negotiating with the voice that keeps you stuck. Make the decision, not emotionally, decisively. Become the person who no longer bargains with comfort, who no longer delays their own potential. Because once you decide, everything changes from there. Now decide. Because your future is listening. What is the most powerful decision you would want to add here? Thank you for listening. And don't forget to like and subscribe.